Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bitchuation Room on a Tuesday, April 22nd. Thank you so much for being here, for pressing play, for joining me live. I'm so happy to have you all. Here is where we redouble our efforts against the fascism. We gird our loins, we talk strategy, we scream into the ether, we cry into the pillow, we cry into the podcast. And really happy to have you all on board. All the Frantifa, Jason, all the Frantifa curious. Sometimes you just gotta lurk a little bit and be like, do I want to be here? Yes, you do. And if you are here watching live, why don't you like and share the stream right now? Let people know what you watch on a Tuesday afternoon or wherever you may be. You can also give this podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening to your podcast. On today's show, Jason Selvig is back. He is one half of the comedy duo, The Good Liars. I'm so excited. Look, if we're talking about the Antichrist, JD Vance, staring at the Pope in the face, Jason Selvig is one of the few people who's also stared JD Vance in the face, and he lives to tell about it. So I'm very excited to have him here. Hopefully his health stays up until the moment that he's done with the pod, at least. And after he's gone, I really don't care. But we're really excited to have him, as well as representatives from Working Families Party of New York, Jasmine Gripper. She's the co-director, and she's going to join us to talk all about the New York City mayoral race, which has just gotten all the more interesting and unpredictable and obnoxious in many ways. And progressives, leftists, liberals, many folks, a big broad coalition are figuring out how the hell to not have Andrew Cuomo in the mayoral seat, as well as obviously Eric Adams. Updates on my voice, it's touch and go. Things are fine, but the chest cold persists. And so halfway through the show, I might no longer be able to do the show. But please send me all the good juju and the vibes. In the meantime, a few announcements before we get into everything I'm bitching about. Hey, tomorrow night, I'm going to be live in Pasadena at the Ice House doing my show, New World Disorder, which happens the third Wednesday of every month. This month, Gareth Reynolds is going to be on. Corinda Dobbins, who you heard or saw last week, is going to be on, as well as Jessica Seeley, friend of the show, and friend of the show, I guess, Matt Lieb will be on. So get your tickets. I really hope to see y'all there, as well as our May 7th Cobb's Comedy co-headlining gig. Tickets are going fast. Very excited to be in San Francisco with y'all. I'm really just excited. I'm excited to do the show, but I'm mostly excited for burritos. That's all I want. LA doesn't do burritos. Call it authentic, call it inauthentic, whatever you want. They just don't do them very well. And so I'm very excited to be back in San Francisco and obviously see all my family and my friends, but mostly, mostly Pancho Villa. So also newly announced with the lineup intact. As you all know, I've been bitching a lot about the state of Los Angeles post fires. And I know for folks who are not here in LA, maybe that can be boring or not interesting, not relevant to you, but that's okay because you're not going to be here with the rest of the Angelinos live for a live bitchuation room at the Elysian Theater on Friday, May 30th. I will be joined by council member Eunices Hernandez, who's been on the show before, a guy named John Idarola of the Damage Report on a network that I have no longer am allowed to appear on. But John and my friendship shan't be barred. He's going to join me, as well as a co-host of the LA podcast, Rachel Reyes, who is just an incredible thinker and analyst when it comes to looking at LA through a lens of inequality, race relations. I don't know if I'm doing a very good job of selling her, but Rachel's amazing and you guys need to know her. Get tickets. You can get them. They should be in the description wherever you're watching or listening. I'm really excited to have y'all there. Also, Paige is going to be there. So if you don't come for me, come to see Paige IRL in the flesh. Final announcement. Oh my God, it's going to be forever. You guys know you can support this show, having been booted from other networks and sources of revenue. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom really does the trick. Thank you so much for everyone who's become a patron. $10 or more gets you that shout out during the fart song. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Again, appreciate all the support. You can also become a member here on YouTube. So many perks, access to our bonus episodes, access to the AMAs, access to 25% off our sponsor. You also get 20% off our merchandise, bitchuationroom.com, the t-shirts, the totes, the stickers, the hats that the ball is moving so slowly, but it's moving, ladies and gentlemen. It is moving. And with that, guys, everybody, get your bitch caps on as I slow walk the bitch caps of my own show, because this is What Are You Bitching About? So any moment now, the Trump administration is apparently looking into announcing an anti-Earth Day move. All right, because it is Earth Day, ladies and gentlemen. You know, our home planet, the place that billionaires are desperately trying to leave after destroying and cannot leave fast enough. It is Earth Day. The Earth is our mother. And of course, Donald Trump is using this day and more broadly to mark a moment of attack on specifically environmental nonprofits and try and do what he's been doing to universities like Harvard, which is try to revoke their 501c3 status. And I want to just mention that the entire nonprofit sector is truly terrified in this moment. And, you know, let's just keep it real. The nonprofit sector does incredible work, but they also have done work that ostensibly the federal government, whether here or other governments abroad, should be doing, right? But because we don't actually have a robust safety net, all more insecure because of Donald Trump's second regime. A lot of nonprofits do that work, whether it's educational, health related, right? Whether it's, like anything, after school programs, whatever you can imagine. Grants and nonprofits fill the gaps and truly are the difference between people dying, going hungry, being forgotten, being not having education, not having access to housing, a place to live, on and on and on and on and on. But now, of course, because all of these are woke, because they don't just focus on straight, cis, white, rich men, all of these nonprofits are at risk. And now, specifically on Earth Day, he's going after environmental nonprofits. And what I'm bitching about is sort of twofold. Number one, a lot of these nonprofits are going to be attacked for allegedly supporting so-called terrorism. Now, it's really funny to that word terrorism, right? And I'll get to what we're really talking about in a little bit, but just on its face, right? Environmental organizations have always been targeted as terrorist organizations, right? I mean, anyone who is blocked a pipeline, sat in a tree, any of the historic environmental movements that we've seen throughout, the decades had some form of direct action, civil disobedience. And these are the very things that Donald Trump and truly the state has labeled terrorism for many, many years. And you could see that obviously with the Stop Cop City movement, and trying to protect Atlanta's native forests there. But, I just have a question, which is what about other 501c3 organizations, like Turning Point USA? See, this is a group that actually hired buses to go to January 6th on, Insurrection Day. And many of those people stormed the Capitol, right? And violently aggressed upon Congress, tried to overturn an election, smeared poop all over Nancy Pelosi's office. Like, are they going to get their 501c3 status revoked? No, of course not. What about even groups? And you might not know this, but like militias have 501c3 status, straight up militias. The Oath Keepers have 501c3 status. Okay. I don't know if you remember, but the PPP loans that were rolled out in 2020, some militias got access. Like, oh, COVID is really, I mean, we don't actually believe it's real and we don't believe in masks, but, our membership numbers, people are afraid to come to meetings. Please, can I have some money? That happened. So it is all political. All of this is politicized. And it does connect to I think, the more insidious part of this, which is that some 501c3s and nonprofits are trying to avoid the scrutiny of the Trump administration. They're trying to play ball. They're trying to, cave to the authoritarianism, specifically when it comes to what? Obviously, to Palestine. And this is a small example, but you guys probably saw Meghan Markle and Prince Harry pulled their funding from a group in Milwaukee called the Milwaukee Muslims Women's Group over so-called hateful words. Now, what were those hateful words? From the river to the sea. That was the hateful word, a literal slogan, a slogan that rhymes with Palestine will be free and does not call for the death of anyone. But again, we are told time and time again, is hateful. So Meghan and Harry, now this is amazing because first of all, I finally have something I agree with Piers Morgan on, which is I don't like Meghan Markle anymore. They took away a $25,000 grant from this organization because the co-director or the director wrote an op-ed that had that in it. And other nonprofits and other foundations are also trying to take away money based on different nonprofits' Instagram pages, posts, social media posts, anything that expresses solidarity with the people who are currently being murdered like sitting ducks in Gaza because they think that will help them avoid full defunding from this government. Well, I got news. It won't. And the less we obey in advance, the less we give tyrants a carte blanche to do away with your entire industry. Do you think that the Trump administration believes there should be environmental organizations? Do you think they believe there should even be a women's Muslim group? There's 2 out of 3 words in what I just said they don't believe should exist. They don't believe in the rights of women. Muslims, what? So that's what I'm bitching about more broadly is that, number one, the authoritarianism is coming after 501c3s. And number two, which will lead to direct death and pain and squalor and destitution that nonprofits have historically prevented against as often being the last lines of defense, to say nothing of just like community enrichment. But that some leaders of these nonprofits are also going along for the ride because they don't want to be targeted. And it's sad. And it is my duty now to mention something that is not sad, which is I hope everyone had a great 420. I mean, Easter, I guess, or whatever, but 420. I hoped you burn one down. I smoked 2 blunts in the morning or joints in the morning stuck in my head all night. You know why? Because I took a sleep gummy. And I felt kind of chill. Like I was like, oh, we going to night town, right? And then Sublime smoked 2 joints in the morning got in my head. The point is this. I got to sleep thanks to Sunset Lake CBD. And this is the last day of their 420 sale. You get 30% off the entire site using coupon code 420. Orders over $100 get a free jar of Vibe gummies. 150 gets an even bigger free jar of Vibe gummies. They also are donating 4.2% of all sales to the Last Prisoner Project. So this is a perfect time to try 30% off. That's better than what the usual Frantifa discount will get you. Try it out. Get their gummies, get their tinctures, get their smokables, get their vape cartridges that they just rolled out. They're awesome. They're wonderful. Shout out to Vermont and to our friends at Sunset Lake CBD. And with that, let me bring him in. See what he's bitching about. You know him as one half of the comedy duo The Good Liars. And you can listen to his podcast, The Good Liars Tell the Truth. Please welcome Jason Selvig.
Hey, what's up?
What up?
I thank you for the intro. I feel like last time I was on the show, you said, he's not Hitler. He's not a Nazi. I mean, he kind of looks like he could be a Nazi, but he's not a Nazi.
I might have done that.
But you said something similar this time. Not similar, but it was like I was like, I got to remember that, but I've already forgotten it. So it wasn't that. It wasn't
Well,
that
it's best you
bad, I guess.
forget. Look, we need all the white allies, white male allies, we can get. You know, but no, but seriously, I think I might have told you this the first time you were on, because since you've been on, you continue to step to the people in power. You, again, like I mentioned, followed JD Vance and asked him some questions like, did he believe the 2020 election was lost by Donald Trump? He looked right at you and said, "I feel sorry for you, man," which
Yeah.
was amazing. Because he
Yeah.
also kind of had a moment, Jason, where he kind of looked at you and there was a little bit of a like, number one, you're taller than he is, which automatically for these like fragile alpha males, they're like, and then he was
Yeah.
like, "You also have steely blue eyes. Damn it. I just feel sorry." There was like wasn't there a moment there?
Yeah. Well, first he said yes, which was like interesting because he never really answered anyone that question before. And he said yes, he thought it was that Trump won, not that it was stolen. This that he thought Trump won,
He thought Trump
which
won.
is objectively wrong, I guess. But yeah, he did have a weird moment where I was like, I feel bad for you for being here. And it's funny because I was just thinking about earlier this week, Stephen Miller, who's like such a terrible person in so many ways.
So many
I
ways.
met him last September, I think it was, and I interviewed him for just a couple minutes, and he is so short. I could have just been like, "Hey, little guy, how you doing there?" Like you think of him, and he is just like such a little
Hey,
tiny little
buddy.
man in so many ways. Yeah, yeah, just hey, little
Now,
guy.
when you go about getting these interviews, are you under the guise of somebody else? Just like, "I'm just a guy asking questions about, like, brown people, man," or are you the good liars?
Well, it depends. I mean, recently, we've done like some movies in the past where we are like playing characters doing this, but recently I'm just Jason Selvig. I'm just me talking to people when I go up to them. I think I introduced Stephen Miller as just, I was like, "Hey, I'm Jason Selvig. Can we do a quick interview?" And he said yes. And also Rick Scott, who there was I did an interview with him, and
Oof.
it just so happened that his daughter went to my school and was my classmate
Ooh,
in years
weird.
and years ago, like
Did you know
4th
this?
grade, 4th grade.
Oh, okay.
I did know it because he was like, I can't remember who he worked for, like Humana or something. I was in Louisville, and he like left and moved to Nashville, like moved the headquarters, I think. And all these people lost their jobs and were very upset. And like that was my introduction to like, oh, this is a very powerful person. I like realized it at that point. I think I was in like 6th grade when she left. But I
Oh,
used that
geez.
as, I was like, hey, I know your daughter, which is not a lie. I did know her in 5th grade or 4th grade.
He was like,
And
"Who is this man who knows my daughter?" And then you're like, "Hey, by the way, why did you defraud Medicaid in your state?"
yeah,
Um,
and I think I asked him, it was right before the election. I think I asked him um, about the same thing with the 2020 election. And he was like, I think Joe Biden won. And I'm also very confident that Donald Trump is the nominee. And I was just like, those are two crazy things to think when he's saying the election was stolen. That is a crazy thing to think. Ay, ay, ay.
Jason, speaking of crazy things, maybe there's one swirling in your head right now. Out of all the little sharts of bad news, we'll call them,
Oh,
what
sure.
what is the yeah, sure, why not? What is what is bothering you today? What are you bitching about?
Well, this is pretty heavy, and I hope this doesn't bum people out. But
Please, God, no.
Sunday night was it was Easter, it was 420. It was also WrestleMania.
Ooh,
WrestleMania 41. It was night 2 of WrestleMania 41. And the card was very good. The three-way women's match at the beginning was one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. But the main event was a disaster. And I just want to bitch about it for a second. It involved Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, and the rapper Travis Scott came out at the end of the match like he was going to beat up Cody Rhodes, who's like a big wrestler. And Travis Scott's like this scrawny guy.
yeah.
And he ended up deciding the match, basically. The Travis Scott, the rapper. It was so weird, and I can't stop thinking about it. And it's
He
probably, this is a
decided
much
it.
more serious issue than anything going on in the country right
Well, I mean, you definitely did bring down the energy of
Sorry,
this
I'm sorry.
show, by bringing up something so heavy, and
Right.
but I do think, my question is, I guess he's not heavy at all, Travis Scott, very light, in fact. So did he decide the match because he, like, they staged it so he beat the Cody, I don't know who this person is, or did
Cody
he
Rhodes.
literally call the match?
He didn't call the match. He came out and like did a distraction, and then there was an ending with Cody and John Cena. And of course, you all know this is big national news. John Cena won 17th title reign. He's surpassed Ric Flair. This is obviously a big historic moment. Are you texting like we're done with Jason?
No,
We're done with
I am
Jason now.
texting that and also going and wondering, like, okay, so this is WrestleMania, but this is okay, just one this is all fake, right?
Is it fake? Is it do you go and see Hamlet on Broadway and then boo when he wakes up and he isn't dead at the end of it?
Yeah,
It's a
definitely. I
show.
always
It
do
is a
that.
show. Okay.
I absolutely
What
am
the
like,
fuck?
"Uh-uh,
Boo.
boo, wake up, bitch. We know you're alive." No, I okay, so that's a good thing to bitch about. Yeah, I think it is annoying when, like, every entertainment world must overlap and have some sort of, like, there must be a Travis Scott appearance and his reps got him that
Yeah.
in a place that, like, you don't need to be, but, like, that I think is very annoying. We're just becoming a very big mono culture. That
Yes.
being said, I do think I'm now into Blackpink, so I just wanna say, speaking of monoculture, I mean, they are but also they're kinda tight, like, I kinda like Blackpink, I just wanna put that out there.
I
Anyone
don't even know
anyone
what that
younger than
is.
25 is listening.
Yeah. I guess I'm dating myself. I'm 23 for the
They're
record. We've
they're
already
the
discussed that,
biggest they're,
but
like, only the K yeah, I know you're 23, so you should
yes.
know about the biggest
Yes.
K-pop band in the world. I mean, other than the one with men, which is like, "Ew, what?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
well, look, I played along with WrestleMania, you gotta play
Okay. All
along with
right. All right. I'm
Blackpink.
sorry. Go ahead.
God
I
damn
will
it.
look up Blackpink and I will listen to it today. And I
I'm
probably will, and I'll probably enjoy it, to be
You
honest.
will enjoy it. Oh, you definitely enjoy it. We gotta get into the week, but first, we have a new segment since you last were here, and it is where we put all of the extra bad stuff about this regime, and we put some music behind it so it doesn't feel as bad. This is
Yep.
Orange Man bad. Here we go. This week in Orange Man bad, Orange Man's bronze HHS secretary, RFK Jr., is creating a registry of autistic people in a massive violation of medical privacy. Um, and I just think we need a plan of distraction at this point, Jason. Like, we need to just plant dead wildlife around his office to distract him. And please, Olivia Nuzzi, if you're listening, send more nudes. In fact, anyone who's got RFK Jr. in their phone, send nudes. I don't care who you are. RFK Jr. is also getting rid of harmful artificial dyes in food. Okay, you're welcome. Is anyone else excited for gray buffalo wings? It's gonna be like,
Well, I think there was a thing with my nephews where they had like the red dye something in the Dippin' Dots, and they had like they became totally different people. They like freaked out, and I don't know if it was the red dye or if it was the sugar, the 50 grams of sugar or whatever it is.
but you think it was Red 5 that like turned?
I don't know. I'm just saying this is my little thing that I would put on the dad and mom forums about this. My little story of this. So
Was
maybe
this
I support him here.
Dude, I think Dippin' Dots maybe are like that's where they're sneaking the mind control into.
Yes, yeah, the drugs.
They're just too
Fentanyl's
irresistible.
coming in through the Dippin' Dots. Yeah.
Small frozen balls of goodness. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fascist regime, the EPA is canceling grants that protect young people from toxic forever chemicals in things like pesticides and foods. But at least there will be colorless candy in the child cancer ward. Speaking of kids, Orange Man's proto-natalist regime is trying to find ways for people to have more of them. Sorry, I mean people meaning straight, married people. One of the ideas that's being floated is educating women on their menstrual cycles. Yeah, that's the problem with education and sexual education in this country. Women don't know enough about their bodies. Thank you, men who cannot find the clitoris. I like this version of protonatalism, actually, Jason, because it gives me an excuse to tell my mom about why I'm not having another kid. Just be like, oh, are you MAGA now, Mom? Oh, you want another grandchild?
That's just what he wants. You're just giving in to him.
You're playing into his plan. Orange Man's FBI director misused funds to go to hockey games and UFC matches. That would be Kash Patel. Now, I don't know about you, Jason, but am I the only one who is like not mad at this? Like, given what other Trump officials are doing, like they're disappearing people into black sites. I'm totally fine with spending money on UFC matches.
Yeah, if it keeps him from, doing more bad stuff, I say go every single match. Go to every playoff basketball game. Do it.
Anything that prevents you from combing YouTube for anyone who says anything critical of you. We're not, Cash. If you're watching this in the future, we're not.
We're not. No, we love you. Cash, we love you. Don't throw us away, please. We don't want to go to a prison.
Do you, dog? Orange Man also announced the regime is going to start garnishing wages next month on student loan borrowers who are in default. What does that mean? It means withholding tax returns, Social Security payments. There are currently 5.3 million borrowers who are in default. I think it's something like 3 out of it's basically like half of borrowers are in default. They're also called smart. Okay, that was the best joke I could think of. I fucking hate this. Lastly, Orange Man's ICE denied a request to let Palestinian student who is being detained for free speech, Mahmoud Khalil, attend the birth of his child. But to be fair, this was just not going to work as an ask, considering Orange Man has never attended the birth of any of his children.
Oh.
Khalil's lawyer should have requested a furlough to play 18 holes of golf. That would have worked.
That would have worked for sure. It's like, you got to start speaking his language here. And then maybe you could sneak away for the birth, and come back at the 17th hole.
Like he did. He was like, stay right there.
Yeah.
Eric's being born.
Oh no, I hit it into my wife's grave. Oh, darn it. Darn it.
I won't be there for a little bit, Laura. It's going to be Laura Loomer who's going to have the next child. God.
I got loomered by her once. Sorry.
That's been Orange Man bad. You got loomed. What does that mean?
She calls people, says they get loomered if she comes up and says something to them. And
if she talks to them?
She talks to them, yeah, and you start to feel a little weird. Or if we were interviewing somebody, this was in Iowa, and it was the day or two after DeVrom gave Ron DeSantis a participation trophy. And the weird thing about that was the MAGA people loved that prank, and she was one of them and shared it. And she came up and was like, I thought that was so great. Can we get a picture together? And I was like, no, we cannot. And then at the end of it, she was like, oh, well, I respect your game. And, you just got loomered. And we were both like, no, I can't believe you loomered us. I can't believe it.
That is amazing to just get rejected and then tell the person that they just got loomered.
And I honestly haven't felt very good since then. I felt a little queasy ever since I got loomered. So there are lasting effects to getting loomered. I don't recommend it.
That this is like asking someone out on a date and they're like, nah. And then you're like, you just got Franny Fio'd. Yeah. Joke's on you.
Joke's on you.
I didn't even want to go on the date. You're on camera now rejecting me. What? Okay. Cool. All right, let's get into it, guys. So many things happened, but of course, kind of the standout stories. This is the week where. So, Jason, we knew that Signalgate was not going anywhere for a number of reasons. Number one, there was every indication that other Trump officials were using Signal on their private phones instead of a secured line to talk about high-level classified things like, I don't know, strikes on a foreign nation. So this week, and it was interesting because even though it was really Michael Waltz, remember, who added the journalist in the Atlantic, and it's like, okay, why are we focused on Pete? Because it's Waltz who did it, but maybe we were right to focus on Pete because a second group chat has struck the building. Then Secretary Pete Hegseth shared information about forthcoming strikes in Yemen on March 15th in a private Signal group that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer, according to 4 people with knowledge of the chat. Some of those people said the information Mr. Hegseth shared on the Signal chat included the flight schedules for the FA-18 Hornets targeting the Houthis in Yemen, essentially the same attack plans that he shared on a separate Signal chat the same day, that again included the editor of The Atlantic. Again, his wife, unlike the chat in The Atlantic was mistakenly included, the new one revealed was created by Mr. Hegseth, included his wife, a dozen other people from his personal professional inner circle in January before his confirmation as defense secretary, and it was named Defense Team Huddle. He used his private phone rather than a government one to access the Signal chat. Again, none of his wife is not involved in any of this, nor is his brother and personal lawyer. His wife is a former Fox News producer, the third wife, the one he had an affair with while he was having an affair with the one wife he was having an affair with. It's very meta when it comes to his, and that's outside of all, the sexual assault. When it comes to his relationships, she travels with him, however, and that has drawn criticism from a lot of folks because she's accompanying her husband to these sensitive meetings with foreign leaders. His brother, Phil and Tim Parlatori, who continues to serve as his personal lawyer, both have jobs, or 2 brothers, both have jobs in the Pentagon, but it's not clear why either would need to know about the upcoming military strikes aimed at Houthis in Yemen. Now, 3 people in the DoD were let go for this. A senior advisor, Dan Caldwell, former Deputy Chief of Staff, Darren Selnick, Colin Carroll, who is the Deputy Defense Secretary's former Chief of Staff. They don't know why, but they think that Pete Hegseth, head of Department of Defense, thinks it was them who leaked this information. Jason, I think it was just his family.
Who leaked it all about
We really shouldn't be on these chats. This is like our intervention for him and his alcoholism, but for his Signal chats.
Well, I wonder if they were like, because it was like his wife and like friends, if they were like planning a brunch and he was just like, I can't do 1 p.m. because that's when the F-18s are launching. And then at 1:15, the first strike.
That's no good.
You could just like put all of the stuff out.
How's the Wi-Fi at the cafe? Because I could potentially go there and just watch it.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part about this story to me is he's involved in all these Signal chats, and I'm kind of getting self-conscious that I wasn't invited on any of them. It's starting to feel like a personal slight a little bit that he's just like going out there and doing all these Signal chats, and like, why not invite me? It's some random Atlantic journalist and not me.
I just feel like you do need comedic representation.
Exactly.
A dozen people, and Jason Selvig of The Good Liars is not one of them. It's just kind of an oversight.
It's rude, and I considered him a friend for a long time. And I'm starting to question that.
I don't know how your Easter was, but Hegseth spent his Easter trying to defend himself to the media, staring down the barrel of the camera here while his children very awkwardly watch on. His many children are like, just like this like dubious face of, is dad doing this good or not? Here he is.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter.
Old news. That's so, Jason,
you notice
those strikes were so last month.
Did you see his sideburns? He's got his sideburns at 2 different lengths, which I think it's just funny. It's just funny. It's not a sober thing to do to have that.
You know what that is? Well, it's either not a sober thing to do, but I also think that's a hairdresser who kind of hates your ass. Like someone who's like, he won't notice this.
Yeah.
And he can't do anything about it.
The hairdresser probably knows all this stuff too. I mean, if it's on the Signal chats, he's definitely like talking about it with his dad.
Yeah. Oh, you got anything going on tonight?
Oh, actually, yeah, some bombing. Some F-18s are going to be launched.
Oh, that's crazy. What kind of like weapons are you using? Are they like fighter jets and stuff?
Do you mind filling up the champagne again? The fighter jets. Yeah, it's going to be F-18s, and we're trying to kill this big bad guy, but it's probably going to some innocent civilians are going to die.
What are the coordinates? What are we talking? Like 56? Like, I don't know. I don't even know a lot of longitude or latitude, but I know the latitude.
Yeah, sorry.
Sideburn.
Oh, whoa. Actually, I kind of like that. That's cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, yeah.
It's
And he
all the
said it was
rage right now.
he said
I
it
don't
was
know
a
why I'm a
hoax.
little bit Latina, but not.
No, I know. It was good. It was good. We both really didn't commit very to the
No,
there.
but we can, and that's the
I should
point.
have yeah,
We
exactly.
show that we could
We
if
could.
we
We
had more
yes-anded
time.
there. But
You know,
it's so weird that he calls stuff a hoax where like because he's just like pulling Trump vocabulary when this is not a hoax. Like the White House, the Defense Department, they confirmed that the signal chat was real. Like they confirmed that this was real, and that's not a hoax. The fact that
yeah.
it exists and he was on there and he was texting these attack plans, like that is true. So he just keeps saying it's a hoax like Trump, but it's almost like it doesn't even make logical sense when he says it. Like Trump could be like, this is a hoax because it's not real. I can't believe I'm like defending Trump right now with this. Like in his mind, he calls things hoaxes that maybe are not true, but he is saying things are hoaxes that are objectively true.
No. First of all, they're both lying. I mean, Trump calls things that
Well,
are
I
real
don't
hoaxes,
know.
but
I
that's
don't know. I think Trump. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
we gotta give him a benefit of the doubt. He gets like one crime free, but no, this is just like all of these things are self-inflicted. That's my problem. And accordingly, it seems like other people have similar concerns because, according to an anonymous source, talked to woke NPR at risk of being defunded. The White House is looking into replacing Pete Hegseth as defense secretary. Caroline Leavitt says that is fake news based on one anonymous source who clearly has no idea what they're talking about. Oh, yeah, just a disgruntled former staffer, some of whom I probably hired, or maybe who are trying to, like, can you imagine if you're like one of like a cousin who's like, I should not be on this Signal chat.
I know. I'm 15 years old. Why am I on this? Yeah.
And they're in that thing where like you can't exit the group, otherwise it'll say you
They'll
left. Don't
know.
you hate
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny that the press secretary was saying it's fake news, that feels like it's like step one in like the 12-step program for Trump's White House of admitting you have a problem. It's like, it's fake news. And then it's like, all right, well, we fired some people because this was real. But it's like, I hate the vocabulary that is now like the national vocabulary, like fake news and hoax. It's like now we have to like think with these words and the definitions that were created by these crazy people.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. That's what I should have bitched about, but I guess I'm bitching about it now.
No, but I mean, I think, yeah, you're absolutely right that the words don't mean anything, and fake news was always appropriated based on actual like evidence of in 2016 news websites that were just like coming out of Macedonia or whatever that were like, did you know Trump actually is God? And it's like, and Hillary Clinton eats babies. Like that's what it comes from. But it's also the biggest tell. I mean, you talk to, either, those people who are in the administration or who vote for them and love, who are MAGA. And there's just such obvious tells when they are lying, and saying something is fake news or a witch hunt is just a tell at this point. That,
Right.
like, you wonder if their own folks can't even they can't suss that out, but also they're digesting media that completely ignores these stories.
Yeah, yeah. That's something we found where we bring up news stories, and I'm trying to think of a specific example, but bring up a news story about Trump or some policy to a Trump supporter, and they just wouldn't have heard the story.
Yeah.
It didn't even come on their radar.
Yeah.
I think we learned, and maybe I mentioned this on the show before, but like a lot of people would get their news from Truth Social and just like watching Donald Trump's feed, and like that's how they got their news, which is just like it just melts your brain a little bit to be like, this is how you get your news, is from the person who's saying these things are fake news. So it is a wild, wild world.
Yeah, what's the news that's fake? Just say what the news is, and then you can call it fake, but at least report on the news. Not everyone is it's not just an anonymous source. I mean, this is excuse me. I think Representative is it Doug Bacon? Bacon is a Republican and former Air Force general. He is the chairman of the subcommittee on cyber issues. He said, I had concerns from the get-go about Pete Hegseth. He didn't have a lot of experience. I like him on Fox, but does he have the experience to lead one of the largest organizations in the world? That's a concern. If it's true he had another Signal chat with his family about the missions against Houthis, said Bacon, referring to the Times report. It's totally unacceptable. And he said, quote, "I'm not in the White House and I'm not going to tell the White House how to manage this, but I find it unacceptable and I wouldn't tolerate it if I was in charge." And the other thing is like this is someone who actually served, right? Like I feel like anyone, and I'm not this person obviously, but anyone who actually served in the military, including the Joint Chiefs, one of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who was, Joint Chiefs of Staff who was fired, who is like a whatever degree, like he's a fucking former like fighter jet pilot, and pulls rank on Pete by light years. I'm sure this guy Bacon also pulls rank on Pete. Like, just seeing the head of the Department of Defense be so ineffective and so terrible with their own security. Oh, by the way, Kristi Noem, also head of DHS, got her purse stolen. Like, what? My girl can't pay for coat check. Keep your purse on you. What's wrong with you, girl?
With $3,000 in it too, which was like, whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
To have stolen. Or maybe she was just like, yeah, that's what I had in there for insurance purposes. I'll just say that. I like that this guy's name was Bacon too. That's just some simmering bacon now. That's a cool last name. I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like and I thought it was funny that he was like, you know what, Pete Hegseth, he is in charge of the Defense Department. I liked him on Fox and Friends. I thought he was great on Fox News, but I don't know if should be in charge of the entire military. It's just like fucking wild that this guy was a Fox and Friends host. And not only that, you saw the video of him throwing the axe and hitting the band member, right? Like, he wasn't even that good at the Fox and Friends job. Like, I'm sure they had to pay a lot of money for hitting somebody with an axe.
They're so happy they got to offload him though.
I know. They're like, oh, the Christmas parties are so much less stressful now that he is gone. Yeah.
Do you think he's going to last? Does he last through this, or do they find a way to get rid of him?
Well, it's like with everything with Trump. You got to think like, what's the stupidest possible thing that could happen? And I don't know if this is the stupidest thing, but I'm saying it could happen that Marco Rubio says something that isn't loyal enough to Trump. And he's like, you know what, Pete, you did a horrible job here. Signalgate is bad. We're going to make you Secretary of State now. Okay. You're going to fail your way up. You're going to fail your way up.
That's exactly right. When you said that, I was like, oh, collapse the State Department, which the Trump administration doesn't care about anyway, into the DOD and just make it one big agency. Pete gets a promotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marco Rubio.
And it also like combines with a bar. It's like these three things now. It's just like a bar you can get drunk at. It's the State Department and the Defense Department all in one place. Yeah,
the State Bar Department.
Yeah. That works. That works.
That day of Barbara. We got to get to this because you've met JD Vance. He looked you in the face. But so did Il Papa, the Pope. Pope Francis. Who soon after this encounter, which was incredibly awkward, so awkward that I can't even play the video because it's so unremarkably boring and nothing interesting was said. But just hours after this meeting in which hands touched, President of the world, Pope Francis died. We are all asking, I think, obvious questions. Did JD Vance kill the Pope? I think this tweet there's two tweets I love. This from Sean says, the Pope meets with Vance, immediately dies of cringe. That's very true. But I like this angle more. I don't think JD Vance killed the Pope. I think meeting JD Vance probably drained the Pope's will to live. It's subtly different, says Joe on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to make wild accusations with no basis, but I can say without question that JD Vance killed the Pope. He definitely did. And just looking at JD Vance and the last couple of weeks that he's had, he's a huge Ohio State fan, went to Ohio State. He dropped the trophy. He broke their trophy.
Yes, he did.
The national championship. Then a week later, he's a big Catholic, talks about it all the time, meets the Pope, kills the Pope. It's I don't want to say I feel bad for him, because I don't. I'm happy that bad things happen to him, but I feel bad for everybody around him that has to deal with him.
He's our vice president. I mean, he's touched our country all over, so we're cursed now. I mean, a couple things. This is just wild that he's like a born again Catholic.
I know.
Who, by the way, doesn't agree with the Pope on so many things. Let's just, and I think we really need to be honest about this Pope. He was the Pope. He's the head of one of the most conservative institutions, if not the most conservative institution in the world. He did not budge on abortion rights, which I think automatically I'm like, well, not my hero. But he was very pro-labor, pro-climate justice. He said cardinals could give blessings to same-sex couples, didn't endorse same-sex marriage. He was also really bad on trans rights. But he was pretty dope. He also came from Argentina. Very cool. Like one of the first popes from, any global South country, maybe ever. I don't know however many hundreds of years you have to go back. So they just didn't agree on anything. I guess what I was trying to say is this for me is if my child were to meet Mickey Mouse and then Mickey Mouse died. That's the level of I love you. Oh, now you got to go. Imagine killing the emblem, the mascot of childhood, the mascot of Christianity and Catholicism.
I know. He's going in there and he's like, I'm so excited. This is kind of making it all worthwhile. All the jokes, everything. Everyone is always so mean to me, but now I get to meet the Pope, and then he just drops dead right afterwards. I hope people, I don't know how you feel about this. But since we're talking about JD Vance, I don't know, during the election, when the couch fucking thing happened, I was like, I was like, a day is fine for these jokes. And then I was like, are we still fucking talking about this couch fucking thing? Because it's clearly made up. It's a joke. And what can we just move on from this? Now I think we can actually stay with the kill the Pope thing, because I think that it's true. It's actually true.
Right. It's not just based on sort of a meme. Although I do wonder if the Pope would have condoned human furniture relations. If he was that progressive.
I think there is something in the Bible about spilling your seed. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to give 13 turtle doves to a priest if you do that. If you ejaculate. Yeah. If you spill your seed, you're supposed to do that.
I love the idea there's priests just living in a coop.
They're just
God damn it.
Poo, 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 poo. It's sorry, Father, I did it again. Sorry. Yeah. So I don't know how that would work with if the Pope is involved in that, if he gets turtle doves too.
I want to just play, because it's really, speaking of how different Republican religiosity, JD Vance's Catholicism, the trad cath, authoritarianism of the right is versus a real one. This is a compilation that AJ Plus put together and this is something that I didn't know, but that Pope Francis, every single night since the response to October 7th began, and Israel began obviously bombing Gaza into oblivion, he had been calling the one standing Catholic church or group, I guess. I mean, I don't know what they had really, but that was in Gaza, and he talked to them nearly every night. And here you can hear him speaking in Italian, and I believe there's a guy who's speaking Argentine Spanish, because I'm very attuned to that, having lived there, I always have to say. But take a look.
Yusuf.
He says, Yusuf. Good evening, Father. Good evening. How are you? I'm well. Thanks be to God. Forgive me. I was at Mass.
Quella messa.
Oh, Mass.
E dimmi, cosa avete mangiato oggi?
What do you eat today? Chicken wings. The rest of the chicken from yesterday, the chicken that was left over. The Pope began his nightly calls to the Holy Family Parish in Gaza on October 9th, 2023. He built relationships with the priests of the Holy Family, including Father Yusuf Assad and Father Gabriel Romanelli.
Salam alaikum.
Now there's a little baby on there. Pope Francis kept in contact with Gaza's church even as his health declined, calling, texting, and video chatting them from the hospital. As Israel bombed Gaza relentlessly, the Pope became increasingly critical of the war. Some analysts say this was a break from the Catholic Church's position on neutrality on international issues.
Ieri il patriarca
Now he's speaking in 2024.
non lo hanno
December.
lasciato entrare a Gaza come avevano permesso.
They didn't let the patriarch into Gaza. I think he wanted to go into Gaza.
Sono stati
Yesterday,
bombardati
children were bombed.
bambini. Questo è crudeltà.
This is
Questo non
cruelty.
è guerra.
This is not a war.
Voglio dirlo perché tocca al cuore.
Tocca al cuore. I wanted to say this because it touches the heart. He repeatedly calls for a ceasefire and increased aid. He suggested Israel's actions were attacks were immoral and disproportionate. He then draws a comparison between Ukraine and Palestine. Pope Francis also called for an investigation into genocide. And in fact, he used one of his very last speeches right before he died, his Easter speech, to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. I mean, obviously, we should not, these popes are only going to be so progressive as, sort of as it goes. But my God, he really stood for something. And it sucks. I kind of got over it. Like, I'm not religious. But like a few weeks ago, I was feeling really down. I think too much news. And I was like, if the Pope dies right now, I'm going to feel real sad. I'm still sad, but I'm also like, you just met the devil. It's fine. Like I think you died of cringe. You lost the will to live after mating JD Vance. You don't need to see what's about to come next.
Yeah. Yeah. And with him and with the Catholic Church as a whole, like looking at where they've been, and obviously there's so much farther to go, but like he was taking from like a Pope's perspective, like he was not just taking baby steps. He was saying things that were big if you were Catholic and for the Catholic Church to do and kind of get with the times. And what I find frustrating going and talking to people sometimes is like I'm not religious either. And I've talked to a lot of like Christian people over the years, and a lot of people are not like practicing what Jesus preaches. Like, I don't believe the magic of everything, but a lot of the stuff that Jesus says is very good. Like, love thy neighbor, like help poor people. And when a religious leader practices what they preach, or what they're literally practicing what they're preaching, and says that a war that's killed over 13,000 children is wrong, that's a good thing. And I like, say what you want about the Catholic Church and some of the terrible stuff that there's a deep, long history of that, but that is a good thing. And I think it's great for you to say that that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That is a good thing too.
Thank you. Everyone's just doing good things, like you do on your show, The Good Liars. Everybody check out The Good Liars Tell the Truth podcast. And where else can people find you, Jason?
Oh, on all the bullshit social media sites. Yeah, I had a moment of happiness, or not happiness, but kind of like seeing clearly for a second, and now it's all gone. I thought about the whole world for a second, and I was just thinking about all the bullshit social media companies and how they're fucking mining our data all the time and showing
stealing
us what
our
we want to
content
see and making us angry. Yeah, it's great.
And then you snap back to reality, and you were like, oh my God, what?
The Good Liars, TGLNYC on Instagram, and Jason Selvig on all the other ones.
Thank you, Jason. I hope to see you again soon, maybe IRL one day.
Yes, that'd be great.
Take care. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate y'all. I want to bring in my next guest. Let's just get right to it. She's the co-director of the New York Working Families Party, has years of executive organizing and policy experience. I like that. She's also the executive director of Alliance for Quality Education. Please welcome Jasmine Gripper.
Hello.
Hello, Jasmine. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we have to talk obviously about WFP in New York and this mayoral race that's coming up. Um, but and that's why you're here, and I'm excited to hear from you. But I want to just name once again the absurd moment that your city is going through, given Eric Adams and his just like complete capitulation to Donald Trump in order to get his bribery charges dropped. Today, I believe 3 Manhattan prosecutors either resigned or threatened, like they're about to resign, instead of say that they were in the wrong by actually pursuing this case against Eric Adams for bribery charges. And they're like, I can't do that. This comes after, I believe, another like I think a prosecutor in DOJ did the same. They're like, I'm not lying. He actually did this stuff. So if you're going to do political purity on me, it's not going to work. I'd rather resign. Just explain the mood of the city and how insane it is to have your mayor kind of in this extortion scheme with the president of the United States.
Yeah, it's obvious to New Yorkers that Eric Adams is in it for himself. And he is trying to get a get out of jail free card. And that is his priority. And he is willing to sell the city, to sell our people, to sell our residents down the river to get himself free. And so New Yorkers are over him. The few people who were still trying to hang on as like Eric Adams supporters, once the bribery became absolutely real and like so like it was like in our face, people were like, that's it. He's over with, he's done with, we're ready for a new mayor. And like that even just like when we want to talk about the mayoral election, it's very rare that an incumbent mayor has this many people challenging them to take them out. And the reason why we have so many people challenging an incumbent is because everyone knows he's weak. Everyone knows New Yorkers are over him and we are ready for a fresh start. And we need someone who's uncompromised, who can lead the city in this moment. And so New Yorkers are tired. Like Eric Adams is a joke. You know, he's the mayor who's out here partying. He's not the mayor who's running the city. He doesn't care that it's cleaned up. He's declared war on the rats. The rats are winning. Eric Adams is losing. And New Yorkers are just tired of him and we want something new. We deserve something new.
Yeah, I love it. War on the rats. Meanwhile, he is the number one rat, just like ratting out his entire community to ICE, really. I mean, this is what's interesting to me is always like the mood. Before we move on, like, let's just talk about the media. Like, how I've seen a couple clips of Adams kind of being taken to task by New York media, but we kind of know, like, I used to live there, you know, whether it's the Post or whether it's New York One or whomever, like whether it's radio, like how are the media treating Adams? Is he a joke? Is he the punchline? Are people like, all right, this guy's gonna be gone no matter what come November?
I think people are pretty confident he's going to be gone no matter what. Everyone's eyes are on the Democratic primary. Everyone's eyes on the upcoming election. He claims he's running for re-election. We have yet to see it. He did not submit petitions to be in the Democratic primary. He claims that he's going to run as an independent. We'll see if he collects petitions to be on the ballot for that. I think many of us are questioning if Eric Adams is actually really running for mayor. We believe he stayed in office as part of a bargaining chip in case charges were pressed on him. He can offer resignation as a concession as part of his get out of jail free card, right? So he was staying in office essentially because it was the only thing that gave him any leverage in fighting his court case. And so he's been out for himself. We knew it all along. We learned our lesson and we're ready to get rid of Eric Adams and get a new mayor.
Well, let me ask you then about Cuomo, right? So we know Andrew Cuomo is running. First of all, the independent thing I want to talk about, but Andrew Cuomo, this guy with a terrible rap sheet, no matter what the issue is, obviously, most recently, COVID mishandling when it came to nursing homes, the sexual harassment that is well documented in his own office. This guy is, he's really been toxic politically, but all these toxic politicians are coming back around. And now that Trump has been reelected, of course, Cuomo, who says he gets along well with Trump, is rearing his head again. What's the reaction? He's got the name recognition. We know that. But is there do you think that Eric Adams is complete failure as a mayor and kind of like buffoonery is making Cuomo somehow look more appetizing? Can you break that down? What do you think?
I mean, I think Cuomo is really coasting off of name recognition right now. Let's be totally clear. His dad was a well-beloved politician for years.
Mhm.
And Cuomo left office in scandal, like you said. And so right now he's polling high, but he's polling high because New Yorkers really weren't paying attention to the election, I think, until now. People are starting to hone in. I think after the November election, we all were tired. We all like put it all on the line, and we just wanted a break from politics.
Yeah.
I get that. Voters are just like, I need a minute to breathe. And so pollsters are calling them, and of course they're saying yes to the only name they really recognize and know. But the reality is Cuomo is, it's time for Cuomo to leave our politics. Cuomo is the reason for most of the problems we see in New York City right now. And we want to remind voters of that. Like you said, the Department of Justice said Cuomo sexually harassed over a dozen women in his office. Like, that is a fact. And he does not deserve to still be in office. The reason why our subways are crumbling is because when Cuomo was governor, he starved the MTA and literally sent money from the MTA to upstate private ski resorts. He literally did that. We have people who are experiencing mental health crisis all across our streets because when Andrew Cuomo was governor, he decided to eliminate mental health beds in New York City. Mm-hmm. And during COVID, everyone thinks he's the star of COVID. During COVID, he tried to close New York City hospitals. This man does not care about New York City. He does not care about New Yorkers. And we really have to stand up to him. And so I think what we're telling New Yorkers or reminding everyone is we do not need to replace one scandal-ridden politician with another scandal-ridden politician. We can and deserve better. And now Republicans are coming after Cuomo for lying to Congress. And so he'll be just as compromised as Eric Adams and unable to fight Trump because he'll be beholden to trying to stay out of jail. And so he is not the solution to the problem.
No, I mean, that is clear. I guess I have a myriad of questions related to this, but I do want to talk about the general election because Eric Adams saying he's going to run as an independent, but again, he's got to, get the petition signatures to even get on the ballot, which is funny that an incumbent doesn't automatically get onto the ballot, but, he'll probably get them somehow. But this changes the game a little bit. Cuomo is going to be running in the Democratic primary, obviously. Eric Adams won't be. But how does Eric Adams running in the general change the makeup for what you're asking primary voters to do, and the fact that this is ranked choice voting, so you get to list 1 through 5, if you even list 5, and so what is that? How does that change sort of really the goal of getting someone who isn't Cuomo or Eric Adams in office?
Yeah, so ranked choice is for our primary process. And then we will have our general election. And it's interesting in New York. It might be a really fun general election because everyone's used to just the 2-party system. And what will happen is the Dems will have their candidate after the primary. The Republicans have already identified their candidate. The Conservative Party has a line in New York. They typically have the same candidate as the Republican. We're not sure who they're putting on their line, so that's a question. Jim Walden's a candidate who's running as an independent already. Mm-hmm. Eric Adams says he's going to be an independent. And then the Working Families Party has our own line in New York. And so it can be a really interesting election around who voters can choose from in the general election that is never usually this contested, with the minor parties having this much play. So we will see. I think, but there's a reality of that Eric Adams' base of voters are pretty much the same as Andrew Cuomo's base. But they have the same path to victory. And so what it would mean is that if Andrew Cuomo did win the Democratic primary, which we're doing everything we can to stop that, him and Eric Adams are competing for the same base of voters. Right. And that does make the field more open for another candidate,
spicier,
to emerge. And you just need to have the majority. Unlike the primary, the person has to get to 50% with the ranked choice. That's how we get to a winner it's only one round in the general election. Whoever has the majority of votes is the next mayor of New York City.
Interesting. And so, I mean, that makes it, I think it is a benefit to progressive candidates that Eric Adams is not in this primary, especially when it comes to ranked choice and really focusing on the enemy, which is Cuomo. And I know WFP is saying, do not rank Cuomo. That's what you're saying. That is the line. Don't rank Cuomo. My question, you guys have a sort of a quadruple endorsement. You've endorsed 4 candidates. Brad Lander, Zohran Mamdani, who's been on this show, Adrienne Adams, Zelnor Miri. My concern with the strategy, and maybe it changes for you guys and you tell me, is that by building, like talking about Cuomo so much, it almost like reinforces his name when you really want to put forward your candidate, your name, your people. What's your response to that?
Yeah, we absolutely understand. We are trying to minimize how much we talk about Cuomo, but we do need to remind voters of what he's done and why he doesn't deserve a second chance in our politics.
Sure.
And so we have to, he can't go unopposed. I think we have to set the record straight. Women have to tell the story. We have to make sure we understand all the harm he caused for the years he was in office. But yes, we did our research and we ranked choice voting. This is only our second mayoral election using ranked choice voting. So it's still a new system New Yorkers are getting used to. And what we found out is the last time we had it was in 2021. We were in the wake of the pandemic. Shit was happening. People were feeling, the uprisings were happening, the backlash of the uprisings, everything was like happening in turmoil. And New Yorkers really tried this new system, even though the political ecosystem didn't, right? Like everyone was like, we're endorsing one candidate. All the unions in New York endorsed one person. And even the left and the progressives kind of like ran against each other. And the party endorsed 3 people, but we didn't get them to work together. So this year we're like, wait, let's re-examine ranked choice and let's see how it works. And what we realize is that candidates are good ambassadors to their base.
Yep.
And they are valid, credible ambassadors. So if they say, vote for me, vote for these other good people, people will listen. And so what we're saying is that our slate, our candidates have a history of fighting for New Yorkers. They are committed to standing up against Trump, and they're committed to working together to defeat the billionaires. And they're ready to fight for working people. And so we endorse 4 candidates who are ready to work together. And we're saying to New Yorkers, rank the slate. And we're going to spend a lot of time making sure New Yorkers get to know the slate. They're going to make sure they introduce the other slate candidates in their district. And so if you want to know more about our candidates, you can go to ranktheslate.nyc and see and learn about all of them. And you can pick your favorite. Where like everyone like tries to whisper to me who their favorite candidate is. Pick your favorite. It's fine, but your favorite can't win without the whole slate. They need the slates, like they have to be ranked as someone's number 2 or 3 in order to win. And that is our strategy for propelling one of our candidates to victory. And so we understand that, but we will talk about the beautiful things about our slate candidates. We will say their names. We will do all that work, but we wanted to help voters focus on who were the ones that were the most viable and who were committed to fighting on their behalf. Right. And that's where we're starting with.
Jasmine Gripper is a co-director of the Working Families Party, and I still have in New York, and I still have a couple questions for you. I definitely see that. I still have concerns as someone who's like, 4 is a lot, 2 can be good. 2 is a stronger number to sort of remember in your head. Technically, do Democratic voters have to rank 5 people, or can they leave blank?
You can leave your ballot blank. You can. Great. Eric Adams told his voters last year, just vote for me, right? And like try to do the bullet voting. And, Andrew Cuomo is trying to run by himself. And we're saying, fill your ballot with our candidates. You can leave the last one empty. You do not put Andrew Cuomo. Do not put him on your ballot whatsoever. Because if not, that's the thing that will propel him to victory.
It's almost, and beyond WFP, who else is working on this? It's almost, I know you guys have a dream, like don't rank Eric and Andrew for mayor, or now the don't rank evil Andrew for mayor. But it's also like kind of like ABC, anyone but Cuomo, right? And I know obviously Zohran Mamdani, whose candidacy I think is amazing. I'm not a New Yorker, but really believe in some of the stuff he's putting forward there. It's like ABC, anyone but Cuomo, everybody else is going to rise. And it does benefit that he is running alone. It's not like they're running together, which again, ranked choice really does help smaller candidates. It helps you run a positive campaign. I love it, but it has to be gamed right. So I appreciate that, WFP is helping, trying to do the gaming and make sure that there's a real, someone who really represents working New Yorkers, who are the majority of New Yorkers.
Yeah. The other acronym out there is like ABZs. So Adrian, Brad, Zell, Nora, Zoran.
I love it. Oh my God, that's a lot. Yeah. I mean, look, you have until, obviously there's a couple months to go for the primary. My question is about your slate, like in the general, excuse me. Last question. You all, I know, in primaries have endorsed, people like Jumaane Williams for governor, and Hochul won out. Then you backed Hochul. Obviously 2018, not to remind, but before we knew this much about Cuomo, WFP endorsed Cynthia Nixon, but then ultimately in the general endorsed Andrew Cuomo. Why did you all do that? Why do you have to do that technically? And why is this year probably going to be different? And if Cuomo wins the primary, I'm assuming you guys are not going to be endorsing Cuomo for the general.
So our ballot line is always earned and not given. There are rules in New York. In order to maintain our status as a political party, we have to hit a threshold of votes. Mm-hmm. And what people forget is Andrew Cuomo was in a deep battle with the New York Working Families Party. He has tried to eliminate us more than once.
Yes.
He once created the WEP to confuse voters with the WFP. And he created the Women's Equality Party, which is really crazy when you see what he's done to women. He also raised the threshold of votes we need to maintain our ballot status. So every 2 years in a presidential race and in a gubernatorial race, we have to get 120,000 votes or 2%, whichever is higher. And if we don't reach that threshold, we will no longer be a political party in New York State. And so those times where we put Andrew Cuomo or someone else on our ballot it was in those key election years where we had to maintain our ballot qualification. And two, those candidates actually committed to something that was really important to the Working Families Party. Mm-hmm. Andrew Cuomo, to get the ballot the last time, he committed to raising the minimum wage. We thought that the party leaders at the time thought that was important to like make sure New Yorkers could have a higher minimum wage was worth putting him on the line.
Right.
And so those were moments where we leveraged the party's ability to be in elections and to be a political party to win something for our people. In this moment, I just feel like so much harm is done. We do have a democratic process. I find it hard to believe that WFP leaders will land at a place of endorsing Cuomo. We do not have to meet a threshold in this election. We can do whatever we want.
Oh, okay.
And so
that doesn't apply now. So that doesn't apply.
No, there's no minimum threshold. We're not at risk of losing our party status in this election.
Amazing. So all bets are off.
It's to be decided. I mean, our focus is the primary. Our focus is to get one of our slate candidates to win the primary and then to put them on our ballot line. That is our plan. If that changes, we have I think about a 2-week window to decide who to put on our line post-primary.
Primary elections, I mean, the turnout is obviously a lot lower. How are you and how is the city sort of prepping people to come out?
Yeah, New York is notoriously low for voter turnout. New Yorkers, we got to do better. It's really bad. The last mayoral election, we had like maybe just 1 million people vote.
Wow.
In the Democratic primary. Like, yes, we are. And when voters feel disengaged, they just stay at home. So we are making sure we're communicating to voters about the slate. We're making sure we're talking to voters. We literally just did a training last night to train leaders to be in their communities, to be ambassadors, to carry lit, go on their doors, to talk to their neighbors, to do phone banking, to do text banking. We will be out in the streets. The weather is nice. Today is a beautiful day in New York City.
Nice.
We're going to take advantage of the warm weather, get outside, talk to New Yorkers, make sure they know about the election. We have early voting. which we didn't have for years. It took New York a long time to get early voting. We finally have early voting. We want to make sure New Yorkers go out and vote early. And make sure they cast their ballot. So we'll be talking to New Yorkers. We'll be at the doors. We'll be on the phones. We'll be texting you. And we're looking for more volunteers to get involved. Like, it's going to take an army to make sure we're communicating to everyone across the city that they need to vote and that their vote matters in this election.
Thank you so much, Jasmine Gripper, co-director of New York Working Families Party. Where can people go to get involved?
Yeah, New York Working Families Party. We're at NYWFP on all of the socials. Go to New York WFP. If you just go to WFP, you'll be plugged into national, which is cool. They do good work. But the New York Party is where the party originated. We have been around for over 20 years. Come join the New York WFP as we get out and elect progressives in New York City and all across the state. Amazing.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for coming through and breaking that all down. Best of luck in the primary. I think it's good. It's good Eric Adams is not in this stupid ass primary. He knows what he's smart. I mean, he doesn't expect to win. But at least it's like one more name off of the ballot. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's do it. Everyone vote for 1 and 2. Even if you can't remember everybody's name, just vote a couple times. That's just my unsolicited advice. Excited to see how these candidates shape up, and hopefully we can do a little bit more spotlight on them before the primary in June. Let's read some comments and then get out of here. And thank you guys so much for sticking around. Let's see. Robert says the poop thing does not excuse all the bad things those people did on Jan 6. Yeah, like the poop thing was kind of funny, right? Like, but also I was saying this on America Unhinged, which is my Zateo show, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Like, someone had to literally take a shit in the middle of the Capitol. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's going on in your head? Like, what? And then you put your hands in your own poop? Like, I guess maybe I understand, like, okay, go in a corner. But like the process of then smearing it, just like, what did you do with your hand all day? Dizzle McFizzle, thank you so much for being a member and for the kind words about the haircut. A lot of people want to know, not a lot of people, another person wanted to know. The haircut in the back, by the way, Allie Bubble, it's just straight. It's basically straight. There's a little bit of a small amount of, whatchamacallit? I don't even know what to call it. Layering, a small amount of layering, but it's mostly just I dome it. I know it's a little bit, it's very mom, but it's good. I need to be mom a little bit. Let's see. Sam Wiley says Fox News went nuts about anti-Israel Coachella and how dare they desecrate the memory of the Nova Festival. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Of course, Coachella is going to be full of pro-Palestine messages. It's in California. It is a bunch of people who you roll in, and I worked Coachella. All these kids are doing is going like, I love plur, everything's plur, and I'm like, what the f is plur? Like peace, love, unity, like, I forgot what is. And it's like, yeah, man, they're hippie and hippie adjacent kids. Maybe some are more like, a little bit less that, but they fuck with Palestine. You know what I'm saying? That's who they're going to support. All the bands are going to fuck with Palestine. They don't care. It's not just Macklemore anymore. They're all like, I can't let Macklemore have the monopoly on being for Palestinian human rights. Anyway, it's going to be very fun to see like the one Zionist kid who's like, I felt so oppressed. Rocket 6923, would you ever travel to other states to do shows, or do you only perform in California? Wow. Of course I travel to other states to do shows. In fact, Matt and I will be traveling to 2 other states at this rest of the year. You'll find out very soon when tickets go on sale which states those are. Going to be a red state. There's going to be a red state. You've been warned. We have a red state on the books. We're also hoping to get to Brooklyn later this year. Kara says the best Mexican restaurant in my town was rated by ICE yesterday. Look out for each other, y'all. Yeah, I got an ICE raid alert because you can sign up for alerts in your neighborhood. And, they're going at they're just at Home Depots. And it's like, Yeah, of course you're at a fucking Home Depot because it's where undocumented day laborers go to actually get an honest day's work, right? And you know that. Everybody knows that. You're targeting them on purpose. You think gang members hang out at Home Depots? No, they don't. Ergo, you don't care about anybody. You don't care about going after actual violent criminals. It's just about rounding people up for the crime of being here without proper documentation or overstaying their visas or having a court case that is pending. Thank you, Sage and Candle, reminding us of RFK Jr. wanting a registry of autistic people. Indeed. Gypsy Vegan says, not enough press about the Palantir stuff. We're going to cover that tomorrow. A DHS deal with Palantir for mass surveillance. It's that I agree with you. That's a huge story. So either Wednesday or Friday, we'll talk about it. Angelica C26 says they didn't let Palestinian cardinal into the church for Easter Sunday Mass in Jerusalem. No surprises. Margarine Taterbean, thanks for being a member, says, I seriously can't believe Cuomo's sex abuse just vanished from public memory. Dude should be exiled into the desert. Massage Diaries, talk to AOC. You talk to AOC. Tell her to come on the show. I would love to. I don't know if I'm big enough for her, but when I met AOC, she gave me a big hug because I was the one, News Broke was one of the only channels. It was like News Broke and TYT did some stuff, but, it was basically alternative media covering her race to begin with, even before she won, right? And then when she wins, it's Late Show, baby. So I think she remembered that. And so, I'll hit her up again. I'll hit up her people. Goonish Lurker. Hey, Francesca, love to tune in for these live streams when I can. You bring on some fantastic folks. Power to the people. Thank you, Goonish Lurker. Rachel Atwood says, props to Green Day at Coachella. Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of dope because like Green Day isn't a band full of young people. Like they're really working against, the stigma of, as you get older, you get more conservative, or maybe, you were brought up to think that Israel can do no wrong. So it is very cool that Green Day said something and spoke out. Again, maybe we'll look through that tomorrow. Marcos Granger, come to Nashville. Nah, it's not going to be Nashville. Not going to be Tennessee. But maybe one day soon. And thank you for the super sticker, Massage Diaries. Let's do our fart song and get the hell out of here. I appreciate everyone who's become a new member. Also over on Twitch. Let's go, everybody. You too can be name checked in the fart song by becoming a member or a patron at $10 or more. Thank you, Nadia Yvette Chambers, and to Sasquatch for becoming new patrons. $10 or more. Thank you. Substack, frannyfio.substack.com. Gene Cushman became a paid member. Appreciate you. Over on Twitch, Mobius636 giving out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subs. Thank you so much. Look at this, Mobius. It's Christmas Day over there. And Mike Boy for Mayor, thank you for resubscribing, saying let's go. Let's go indeed. Thank you, Holy Beer Dragon, for those bits. And Nacho Biz, appreciate you. Mouse and No Dragon Onesie. Fantastic 14 months. Thank you so much for that. Holy Beer Dragon also gave out 5 community subs. And Ganja Goddess Dragon says, I love Blackpink. See, I don't know where I've been. I have a thing with auto-tune, but they're kind of objectively great. Omega Shenron Dragon resubscribed. Thank you so much. Happy 18 months being with the Frantifa. Screw the royals. Screw the overly powerful people. Powerful people. Time for all of it to go. Also, nice haircut. Fran reminds me of Eon Flux. I don't know what any of that means, but no Swarley subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who's followed. And thank you to the beloved Paige Omek, our producer, to Brent Godin behind the controls on YouTube, to our podcast editor, Andy Vasoyan. We're streaming Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. On Friday, we're going to talk about the Google and Meta trials, verdicts, punishment with David Dayan of the American Prospect. So don't miss that. And remember, fight the power. Fuck the patriarchy. Free Palestine. And don't just bitch about it. Be about it.